As time moves along, so do my thoughts and opinions on games, and while there are a lot of games I've changed my mind about, I wanted to list 10 games I was wrong about. When I first played these 10 games, I thought they weren't that good or could be better. However, over time, they ended up growing on me. Of course, I know more than 10 games for a topic like this, but I figured we could just start with 10, so let's get started.
Number 10.
The last time I talked about this game, I said that the combat is clunky, stealth is wonky, and overall movement didn't feel complete. I still do sort of agree with those past opinions, but I decided to restart my game and give it another shot. And during my new playthrough, I gained a new appreciation for it. I thought the combat was better than I remembered. Stealth sections force you to think and use your equipment in smart ways. Along with the story being genuinely intriguing and the game having beautiful graphics, I knew I was wrong about my initial thoughts on this game. I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn in a couple months, but I do want to return to it soon so I can play Forbidden West next.
Number 9.
When I first played Fire Emblem Three Houses, I thought it was way too different from the Fire Emblem games I had played before. I was confused about the reclass system. I thought the free days and teaching were weird. After playing a few hours of Three Houses, I left it at that and thought it wasn't that good of a game. But then, years later, Three Hopes was revealed, and I thought I would have to finish Three Houses to understand the story. So I reluctantly decided to start up a new game just to understand the new one. But as I went along, I enjoyed the fact any unit could become any class. I liked all the activities you could partake in. I started to like a lot more of the characters. My enjoyment of the game increased as the game went on. I later found out that I didn't even need to play Three Houses to play Three Hopes, but I'm glad I gave it a second shot. It's just a really fun game that I'm glad I enjoy now.
Number 8.
By no means am I a big Animal Crossing fan. I've sunk plenty of time into New Leaf and enjoyed my time with Wild World, but that's pretty much it. During quarantine, I had a friend group that was really into Animal Crossing, so due to them, I ended up pre-ordering New Horizons and playing it with them. When I first played, I didn't feel like I was playing Animal Crossing. The crafting was new, and not being able to fully explore my island once I arrived was a little strange. So a couple months after launch, I just dropped the game in favor of New Leaf. That was until a few months ago when I decided to revisit the game. I found myself enjoying the crafting and decorating the island, and all the ways you could customize your villager was really refreshing. I also liked upgrading all the buildings and decorating my house. I haven't touched this game in a few weeks, but after giving it a second shot, I really enjoyed it, and definitely will be returning to it in the future.
Number 7.
At the time, I wasn't a huge Resident Evil fan. I enjoyed Resident Evil 4 and Revelations 2, but I didn't really bother playing any of the other games. After I got my filthy little hands on an Xbox One, I saw RE2 and all the DLC was on sale, so I decided to try it out. I played a couple hours of it and thought it was just alright. The atmosphere was creepy and the graphics looked great, but it wasn't anything that got me hooked. I then bought a copy of it on PS5 about 2 years later and enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first time. I liked most of the puzzles, I liked the characters, and all of the gameplay. Ever since my second playthrough, I've gotten more into the Resident Evil series. Resident Evil 4 Remake and 7 are so good, and I doubt I would have played them without giving 2 Remake another chance.
Number 6.
When I first bought my PlayStation 4, I bought SpiderMan and Persona 5 Royal, 2 games that I wanted to play for a while. I loved the heck out of SpiderMan, it's one of my favorite games of all time, but I wasn't a huge fan of Persona 5 Royal when I first started playing, which was kind of a disappointment for me since I had played and loved Persona 4 Golden right before I played Royal. I just didn't find the characters and story to be as good in 5 compared to 4. However, as the game kept progressing, I slowly got more interested. All the content and great music really grew on me after I finished it. While I wasn't all that hooked when I first started, it became a lot better as the game went on.
Number 5.
I'm sure some of you know I wasn't overly enthusiastic about Engage when it first released. I got about halfway into the game and thought it was just a mediocre entry in the series and left it at that. Until I randomly had the urge to come back to it a few months after launch, so I did. I finished more chapters and became more interested with the game. A lot of the complaints I had I just ignored since I was just having fun with the game. The engage mechanic is super interesting, and things like breaking and smashing enemies is unique. I really enjoyed all of the post-game content and DLC. We even got some new playable units out of it. And while there definitely are some flaws with Engage, it is a really fun game that more people should give a shot. And as an added bonus, my English teacher called Celestia a MILF, so do with that as you will.
Number 4.
After I started a new game in Life is Strange Remastered, I decided to make a new game in True Colors to shoot for some extra trophies while making different choices. Honestly, this game felt so much more refreshing during the second playthrough. The story felt more personal since it was about investigating your own brother's death. All of the side characters did their best to support you while having issues of their own. It felt so genuine. And I loved all of the locations and atmosphere in this game. It all felt so cozy and comfortable. It makes me feel sort of at peace. Just like the other games, this one also has a really good OST. I love the Life is Strange series. They're all well-made games, and this is one of my favorites.
Number 3.
I first played this game a while ago, almost 5 years ago in fact. And when I first started playing, I wasn't a fan. I played the original trilogy and enjoyed the anime, but Dual Destinies just wasn't my jam for a while. But then the story became one of the most high-tension, most intriguing stories I've seen in any video game. Out of all the games I've played, I think Dual Destinies has the best story. It's just so amazing, and I was still thinking about it weeks after I finished the game. It had fun characters, good music, and an amazing story. This game is also getting a remaster in 2024, and I would highly recommend you pick it up when it releases.
Number 2.
I do enjoy God of War. It's one of my favorite games on the PS4, but when I first started playing, I wasn't super into it. I'd play for about 20 to 30 minutes, then just move on to a different game. But one day, I decided to actually sit down and give it more attention, so I started a new game and started to enjoy it more. The combat was fun, all the collectibles and gear was interesting, and I liked all of the characters, with Mimir being my favorite character in the game. When I finished it, I immediately played Ragnarok after. God of War on PS4 was such a fun game that I wish I enjoyed sooner than when I did.
Number 1.
I've been a SpiderMan fan for pretty much as long as I've been alive. A couple months before SpiderMan on PS4 released, I watched Jacksepticeye play Spider-Man 2 on PS2, which got me interested in the game. So, a couple months later, I got a copy of it on the GameCube, and oh man, this game frustrated younger me. The combat felt clunky and difficult, the physics made web swinging a challenge, and the voice acting was, it was pretty bad. I had to take multiple breaks from this game since it was such a challenge, but I did manage to finally finish it a couple weeks later. I didn't touch this game until about a year ago when I decided to replay it, for whatever reasons past me had. Honestly, it wasn't as bad as I remembered, though there still were some challenging missions in this game. The combat is fun to mess around with, and the web swinging is second to none. I had enough fun, I made another save file right after I finished it the second time. All in all, the game definitely has flaws, but it's one of the best Spider-Man, if not superhero games ever made. There are some games I don't like, but sometimes I think it's important to revisit them to give them another chance. Sometimes all you need to do is replay a title to get interested in it. Look at this list. I talked about some of these games recently, but they ended up changing my mind. So in my opinion, go back to some of the games you don't like. They may end up surprising you with how good they actually are. I know I've been there myself. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I kinda like just doing lists like this, honestly. I know it's been a bit since I've last uploaded. I don't have a good excuse. I've just kind of been lazy and didn't really feel like doing anything, but I have a video out now. So next, I have a history of like my own personal history, how I played different games, found out about different series, things like that. Should hopefully be interesting to you guys. And then after that, there's this kind of retrospective Fire Emblem Engage video I want to do. Fire Emblem Engage 1 year later kind of thing. And hopefully you guys like that too. So be sure to look out for those videos whenever they release, which should be sometime in the future. I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you did it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all later.